Okay, we are live, I think. We are live for the next 2 hours or so. And yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about some topics. We'll be talking about some topics. And yeah, the reason why I'm live right now is I got to record like 12, 13, 14 different pieces of content, videos. And I would rather do it in a live session because I am taking tomorrow off. I have, I've had for years, I had chronic sinus infections and haven't had one in a while. And I can really feel one, coming on at the minute. So I'm like, I'm going to get to bed at like 12, sleep all day tomorrow, drink as much water as possible. I have liquid IV in this and some black currant to, mask the taste of liquid IV and get as much fluids into me as possible, and I'll be okay tomorrow. So for you guys watching this after the fact, we are going to be talking a little bit about some topics. So we're going to be talking about what Fever are going to be doing with Dantas. We're going to be talking about AU no longer being a league. We're going to be talking about people's reactions to the player of the month. We're going to be talking about how Angel Reese potentially could, is playing so well the minute it could fuck up the Atlanta Dream. How Steph subbing in Caitlin Clark for defense, subbing off Caitlin Clark for defense just doesn't work, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. How Complex put out an article and they literally put out false stats about Caitlin. How WNBA lied about Skylar Diggins to try to erase history of one Elena Deladon. That Team USA could lose. And I don't really want to talk about some of the drama, but I am going to spend about 10 minutes talking about the whole Clay Travis outkick shit. I do kind of have to. There was a situation with Fever fans important that I'm glad hasn't been a bigger deal. We're going to talk about how Caitlin's gravity is going to be great, how guards are taking over WNBA, why the Sparks are dumbasses, and we're also going to be talking about Kelsey Plum's debut and some other things like that. So yeah, they are the topics. Whoever said check my business email, was that the really long post about the fouls? Was that the one that you sent me? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have the time. I don't really have the time at the minute, and staring at a white screen is not good right now. Like, these lights are really putting me off, so I'm just trying to get these videos done before my body kind of gives in tomorrow, because I will be recording some videos tomorrow, but they will absolutely be from bed. There will probably be no face cam. But yeah, so the WNBA, Caitlin Clark winning player of the week. And who would have ever guessed that people were going to lose their minds? Who would have ever guessed that people were going to call it rigged? Like, did Kelsey Mitchell deserve player of the week? It was close. It was absolutely close. Like, I gotta be real here. It was very, very close. And I'm okay with it going to Caitlin. I would have been okay with it going to Kelsey. Player of the month clearly is Kelsey Mitchell. And for people being like, oh, Caitlin Clark did more this month. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. Caitlin Clark was injured for half the month. Caitlin Clark scored 34 total points before July the 17th. From July the 1st to July the 17th, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Caitlin Clark scored 34 total points. So, no. You can't win player of the month in a month where you were injured for half of it. It doesn't work like that, especially when your teammate averaged like 30. But everyone losing their mind being like, oh, Kelsey Mitchell is going to leave Kelsey Mitchell is going to leave Indiana. She's getting disrespected. Kelsey Mitchell on Instagram reposting the Eastern Conference Player of the Week for Caitlin Clark. Like, Kelsey Mitchell wants to get paid. Like, he wants to get paid. It is, or she wants to get paid. It's as simple as that. I don't think Kelsey Mitchell goes out of her way to care about accolades. Like, why would she care too much about accolades when Kelsey Mitchell no one cared about her before Caitlin Clark got there, and she made that known. That the Fever were the only team that wanted her. People didn't want her. Like, she was seen as a worse Enrique before Caitlin Clark got there. And when it comes to getting Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell's still doing the same thing, except now it's for a winning team. And like, Kelsey Mitchell just does Kelsey Mitchell things. And 80% of the time it's a good thing. 20% of the time it's a bad thing. But right now, she is in the best form of her life, and again, would be probably winning an MVP. If she was doing what she's doing now last year, she'd probably be top of the MVP candidate. But if we're being real here, everybody losing their damn mind except for, the player who apparently got snubbed. Apparently the player who got snubbed, Kelsey Mitchell, deserved. On the WNBA's post, everything is about Kelsey this, Kelsey that. Oh, this is why players will never come play with Caitlin Clark. Just a newsflash. There's not going to be one guard. There is not going to be a single guard like that ever is going to come to the Fever. There's no star guard. The Fever don't want the star guard. You want the Ty Harris type. You just don't. Mate, you want a better power forward. But like, you straight up don't want that. You want to go out and find role players, and role players will have zero like care about coming to the Indiana Fever. But it's so funny again, like, it's all of this. All of this is about trying to tear down Caitlin. Someone said in the comment section, they don't care about Kelsey Mitchell, they care about going against Caitlin. Yeah, these people never... Like, these people vote with Kelsey Mitchell, by the way. Like, if you know anything about the WNBA subreddit, it is a Caitlin Clark... It is basically Caitlin Clark hate brigade. Like, they are okay with anything as long as it's against Caitlin Clark. Anything goes as long as it's anti-Caitlin Clark. If it's pro-Caitlin Clark, you're going to struggle. But if it's anti-Caitlin Clark, anything goes. Even the anti-Caitlin Clark people voted Kelsey Mitchell in 2024 as the most overrated player in the WNBA. As the most overrated. Because she made the All-Star team over Kennedy Carter. That is literally what people were saying. Because she made the All-Star team over Kennedy Carter, she was the most overrated player. She's not dumb. She knows that her life is made easier. She scores easier with Caitlin. And these people are going out of their way to make sure as hell that that they can put down Caitlin at all times, at all costs. And we're now looking at a player who is easily, in my opinion, the best, not easily, but in my opinion, the best offensive player to ever play in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark. The best offensive engine. And you have Kelsey Mitchell, who is one of the best play finishers. There is no player in the WNBA better at using Caitlin Clark's gravity to their advantage than Kelsey Mitchell. When they aren't playing against each other, when realistically, like, sometimes they play off each other, sometimes they play against each other, sometimes playing against each other works, but when they're playing off each other, they are they're the best duo. Like, they might go down as one of the best duos ever. I'm not going to say the best duo ever because You have Lauren Jackson as Sue Bird. You have Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops. And that wasn't even just there for the duo. Like, I think as much as people online try to pit them against each other, I think for being real, they'll say it themselves. Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark like playing with each other. There are times they might get frustrated at each other, but in general, they like playing with each other. So, yeah, I don't know why people are so worried about, Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark and one of these awards. Like, and this is one of those things where I'm going to be real. Like, I understand that Caitlin Clark is the offensive engine. I understand that Caitlin Clark will always generate more points than a Kelsey Mitchell. I understand that. I'm not even arguing Kelsey's better than Caitlin. But if you are trying to say that Caitlin Clark was better on Sunday than Kelsey Mitchell because she generated more points via assists as well, like, then that is in my opinion, that's a crazy take. That's basically attributing every bucket that Kelsey Mitchell made to Caitlin Clark as well. I know that's a crazy take, but no, like, people are losing their damn minds. But at the same time, like, does it really matter? Does it really matter whether or not Caitlin Clark is who's better because they're on the same team? Like, I get it, you're gonna have opinions, but like, do we want to turn this into a Tatum and Brown? Because if this is a Caitlin or Kelsey and team needs to make a choice at the end of the year, then yeah, we have these discussions. But right now they're on the same team, so yeah, I don't really think you see much. But this is such a weird topic. And I don't know. Like, I hate how well Angel has been playing. And she is the reason why no one ever talks about her playing basketball. Like, I got it when she was the 35th best player in the league, being treated like the second best player in the league. I kind of got not wanting people to watch you play basketball. I kind of got it then. But I'm like, I don't get this. Because this was last week. From playing with Barbie dolls as a kid, which is, again, it's kind of nothing. She has her own Barbie doll. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. And then when she's asked about it, again, she comes out and says she never played with dolls as a kid because they were all white. And I'm like, I have absolutely no... Like, I don't really know what the logic for this is. Like, this was 5 days ago. Like, I don't get her hijacking her own conversation. Just like when people are talking about the gambling situation, they're constantly going $400. Like, why does she always hijack the conversation? Because she's been really good. She's been really, really good. Like, she's by far the best player on the team. And not only that, like, yesterday, they're down 20. She clocks Stephanie Talbot in the face with an elbow. And then points at her and stares her down. Points at her on the ground and stares her down while they're down 20. And I'm like, what are we doing? What's the point? Like, it's actually getting annoying because... Why is it that Angel is now at the level of basketball where she is she's playing like a legit top 10 player in the league this year? And I understand every single one of the, I do understand when it comes to people that don't really watch that much. The lowlights are bad. Angel Reese's lowlights are bad. I have no doubt about that. But like, I've watched these Atlanta Dream games. Angel's the only player doing anything. Like, she is the only player on this team that looks good right now. And now we're at the stage where if you type in Angel Reese on any platform and you look at anything talking about Angel Reese, this is all they're talking about. And she's doing a disservice to herself. I think she's doing a disservice to herself. Because the conversation should be that Angel Reese is now the best player on a end of the game, like probably the end of the contenders list, but the best player on a contender. Because she is. She's been better than Ryan Howard. She's been better than Alicia Gray. Bree Jones has just come back. She has been the best player. So, if I'm going to be real here, like I just always... I don't even care about she shooting threes. If you're going to miss 2 3-pointers in a game, it doesn't really matter because you might miss 2 layups. But, like, she's dominant. She's playing defense. She's shooting well. She's, she's doing everything people have kind of asked from her. But nobody cares about any of that. Because she's the one who hijacks her own conversation and makes it not about basketball. And it's always frustrating because Angel Reese has a fantastic game against... has a fantastic game when she plays against Paige right out of the All-Star break. And instead of the conversation being about the game, she comes in after the game be like, my Cash App's there, I want that $400, to bring up the whole gambling scandal she's in. It's as if she thought, okay, all these years ago, it's as if she thinks the only reason people care about her is because of these type of scandals. So I'm going to keep bringing it up. I'm going to try to keep my name in the news for non-basketball reasons. And if she does, if that's what she thinks, that's the wrong way to go about it. You've already built up your fan base, and now you are playing at a level that's really high. That is really, really high. I cannot stress it enough, like, Angel's killing it right now. She's killing it. Like, since the All-Star break, she's averaging like 20. She's averaging like 20. She's had, is it 5 straight 20 and 10 games or something? In her last 6 games, at 3 straight 20 and 10 games, she's averaging 20 and 12 over her last 6 games. Like, she is averaging 20 and 12. That is really impressive. And doing it on relatively okay efficiency. Yes, she did have an 8-point game in the middle of there. But she's now doing what she's been doing for a winning team. And her overall game is better. Everything about Angel Reese as a basketball player has been better. And the unfortunate thing is I don't think it's been her fault. I think there were a lot of flaws. I think her style, there were a lot of flaws to her in Chicago. And if you want to say, but like, the Sky got worse without her, no, they didn't. The Chicago Sky won 10 games last year. They've already won 11, and they got fucked by the referees yesterday. They've already won more games than last year. The Atlanta Dream they won 30 games last year. They've only lost 3 more games than they lost last year. Only lost 3 less games than they've lost last year with 15 to go. And yeah, it is just always a frustrating one because if she's someone who's good at hyping up herself in the media, but like, why is she not out there trying to hype herself up for what she's doing on the floor? Because if I'm going to be real, I think she's kind of earned that. She's played well enough that she's actually been a really, really good player on the floor. Like, maybe top 10 so far. Honestly, maybe top 10. Like, I know people want to argue that, but she's been the best player on the sixth best team. So, I got her in my top 10 for MVP right now. And I think based on her performances, she should be the only Atlanta Dream player in that top 10. I think it's really as simple as that. Someone said, I'm a big Conor McGregor fan. Can't stand the man. And for the person who said, congrats on 61. Thank you, but I have currently lost, in the last 26 hours, lost like 50 subscribers. I was this close to getting to 61.2. What do I need to do? Oh, yeah. So yesterday we saw one of the worst articles ever written. What is one of the worst articles ever written about how Paige Bueckers took Caitlin Clark's spot. Her spot in what? I'm not going to show the full article, so I'll only show snippets that I want to talk about. That is a picture of Angel Reese. There we go. If you guys agree with this, please subscribe. We are trying to get back to 61.2. We were like 5 subscribers off it, and I kind of screwed it. But in this whole thing, this is an article that was published yesterday. And they literally said here, stats as of the All-Star break. So basically, Complex had someone write an article shitting on Caitlin Clark. Or in a lot of ways, shitting on Caitlin Clark before she had 45 against Seattle. Because there is no mention whatsoever about Caitlin Clark's game in Seattle. And her percentage from 3, it says she shot 33% from the three-point line. 33% was before the Seattle game. So this was an article written before the Seattle game, where Caitlin was coming off missing 3 games where she played 23 or less minutes. And it was basically just, you're on a mad minutes restriction, and there was a struggle for rhythm. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. Like, it was before the 40. It was before the 45-point game. Where when this article was written. And they wanted to release it, realized, oh shit, we have this on the back burner. We have this Caitlin Clark hate article. So we waited for her first human game in weeks. And we released it right after her first human game. So during this, it says here, she's averaging 20.7 points on a true shooting percentage of 4% above league average. It also says here, Paige is averaging more points than Clark on 51.8% from the field and elite 61% true shooting. Edge Bueckers in scoring. Paige Bueckers scores less points on a lower true shooting. So they've given scoring to Paige. Playmaking. I'm shocked they even gave playmaking to Caitlin Clark here. But they released this article 4 games out from All-Star break, the day after Paige scored 6 points. Because Caitlin finally had a human game, and they decided that they were going to, that this article was being released anyway, and they were going to wait till Caitlin Clark had a bad game, so they planned on releasing the article, and then didn't realize Paige had 6 points. Because right now, Paige Bueckers has a slightly better effective field goal percentage, 3% better effective field goal, but like a 1% worse true shooting. Why? Because Caitlin gets to the line more, which is part of basketball. But it said here, rebounding, draw. Yeah, neither of them are great rebounders. It is hilarious how, with defense, the whole thing is, basically, she's a defensive turnstile. And then it says, oh, they're better on defense when Caitlin's on the floor, and she has good win shares. And the film supports this. She's not a turnstile when you're offensive superstar. And it also is like, you know what? Paige Bueckers is a solid, like, basically Paige and Caitlin are equivalent on defense. It says here, oh wait, so the Dallas Wings allow more points per 100 possession when she's on the court. But the Fever add 5 less points per possession, so therefore Bueckers is a better defender. And they have the same win shares, therefore Bueckers is a better defender. So basically, all the stats will tell you that Caitlin's a decent defender and the team are better defensively when she's on the floor, but she's a turnstile, so she's a worse defender. There we go. Leadership. The viral video of her ignoring teammates. What are we talking about? Her ignoring teammates. It wasn't. She was screaming at Stephanie White. Like, leadership. Nobody knows. And then, how the hell? Like, Clark wins in aura. Like, what relevance is this? I'm sorry. Like, it is what? The fuck does aura mean? Verdict, Paige wins. Like, Paige wins from using false stats, losing more categories than she won, and then saying that Paige's team isn't that much worse with her on the floor, which is good because of how good offensively she is. But also, Caitlin Clark's team is better when she's on the floor defensively, which is fun, which means it's okay that she's a turnstile. Like, what are we doing? And not only that, an article released 2 weeks after All-Star break with stats 2 weeks late. You just want to say Paige is better than Caitlin. That's fine. Release this when it happens. It is a horrible time to do that. After Paige Bueckers has since the All-Star break, had back-to-back weird games. She was terrible against Atlanta. And she had a weird game where she was great through 3 quarters against Washington and didn't show up in the 4th. And then scored 6 points. Are you one of those people that wrote about the humble superstar that is Paige Bueckers? In the greatest ever tweet, somebody posted this. don't even know who. I just copied and pasted it. Some Paige fan posted, I slept on a Paige performance and now I honestly feel just proud to be a fan of someone like her. She really didn't care about stat padding as the bottom team during a blowout. You never want your superstar just getting 6 points, but she's just so humble. Like, what are we doing? And for the people that seem to be shocked about Kelsey Mitchell, shall I show you the Kelsey Mitchell tweet from 2012? Like, it really, not that it makes any difference. If you haven't seen that, the tweet, I can't even find it. But anyone who know, if you know, you know, basically. If you know, you know, with Kelsey Mitchell. But yeah, look, this article is one of the worst things I've seen written. It is one of the worst things I've seen written about Caitlin Clark comparing to Paige Bueckers. And it's like, you can make an argument for Paige. I stand by that. Like, you're allowed to write an article about Paige Bueckers. You're allowed to title it whatever the hell you want. But there are times where you record a video, where you really write a piece of media, and you realize this has aged badly, and all the information I am using is no longer correct. At that point, you can the article. This is on Complex more than the writer, because the writer just gave an opinion and they used whatever it was, the data they had at the time. But at the same time, like, when Caitlin 3 games before the All-Star break, 3 of her last 5 games before the All-Star break, she was playing a severe minutes restriction, as in she was playing like sub 20 minutes a game. So, like, that is an issue. That is an issue when you're playing that few minutes. So that does affect your averages. And it's a really tough one because apparently Caitlin Clark's elite true shooting percentage is why, or Paige Bueckers' elite true shooting percentage is a reason for why she's better than Caitlin Clark. But, like, Paige's the lower true shooting percentage than Caitlin Clark. But, yeah, it's just a bad one. We're seeing so much more of this crap, and I'm like, oh God. Every time we see one of these articles, like, every time Paige over a 24-hour period, every single time the Paige over a 48-hour period has a better 48 hours than Caitlin Clark. She's better than Caitlin Clark. It's like with the media, anytime a white player has a good game, this is who you think Caitlin Clark is. Like, I'm sorry that you are so obsessed with Caitlin Clark that you've relegated one of the greatest guards of all time to just being an alternative for Caitlin Clark. But that's on you. That's on you guys. And this should have been canned. This should have been canned once Caitlin Clark had 45, a 26-point triple-double, 32-point game, where, by the way, she could have had 45 if she just wasn't, like, in the fourth. In the fourth, she got subbed off for, like, 2 minutes, saw Kelsey Mitchell was going off, and just let Kelsey go off. She could have 40. Easily could have 40. She took one shot in the fourth quarter that game. But, yeah. It is what it is. It is what it is. My finals picks. I think the Fever get there. Is that a crazy take? Is saying the Fever get there a crazy take? I think they have a B game. I think they're better at the stuff they did badly in 2024. I think they're way better at the stuff they do badly. And I gotta be honest here. I have to talk about this topic. I don't want to, but people are going to consistently ask me about this topic. So I feel like it has to be brought up. And we got to talk about this topic because it is relevant. Not that I want to get into this whole weird thing that's going on right now, but, like, this topic is relevant right now with Julie Tatar. It is a player, like she's a player in the French second tier, where they allow trans women compete. And she is absolutely dominating. Like physically destroying teams. Like, getting the ball off rebounds and just running coast to coast and running in layups. And averaging 20 and 20. And there is a lot of pushback to her being in the league. There is an awful lot of pushback to the French seconds here for allowing trans women play. But at the same time, Julie Tatar is not a WNBA player, a WNBA level player. 32 years old, or 34 years old, not transitioned in her 30s, not a WNBA level player. Not far off it, but not a WNBA level player. And you're seeing the French league. Like, she didn't win MVP, despite averaging 20 and 20. She didn't even make the all-league first team because, again, it is very controversial her being allowed to play. And at the same time, this is one of those things where this kind of stops the whole argument, for me anyway, where people can argue that any of the, hormone stuff, you completely lose your athletic ability. Because prior to transitioning, Jimmy Tatar was terrible. Like, prior to transitioning, Jimmy Tatar was a terrible basketball player. Like, and I mean, prior to transitioning, played in a league that, I'm not joking, is a lower level of basketball than I played. I played at a higher level of basketball. And Julie Tatar is not far off being WNBA level. And in fairness, Outkick have contacted her and she was asked, what do you think about going to WNBA? And basically said, teams wouldn't go for it and I wouldn't be good enough. And she's right. Julie Tatar is not good enough to be a WNBA player. But it's a weird topic where I'm like, she completely and utterly dominated the second tier in France. And I understand the second tier in France is not this super high level. But she could go into the top league in France. She's good enough to be a starter in the top league in France. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. At 35 years old, to be a starter in the top league in France. And prior to transitioning, I'm not sure was better than me at basketball. I definitely played at a higher level. So it's really one of those things where it's not that my opinion on the topic is in any way relevant, but the argument, I feel like the argument of people saying that there is no advantage to people that go through a transition physically is objectively false. That is false. There is a big advantage. And I don't know what way the league are going to decide. Whatever way the league are going to decide, players are going to have to live with it. They're going to have to live with whatever the decision's made. But let's be very real about all this whole topic. There are people that have hijacked this topic as a way of hating certain people. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I do not think Sophie Cunningham's one of those. There are people that are using this topic to push hate. And I think the conversation really comes to from a merit level of how much of an advantage there is. Because I'm going to be real. Professional sports has never once, not for one day, has never been inclusive. There's never, it's not playing in sports league is not a human right. Playing in a professional sports league is not a human right. But I've watched clips of Julie Tatar playing and physically is not a WNBA level player by any means. For people saying, WNBA should sign her. No, not a WNBA level player. She's physically stronger than every player in the WNBA. I have no doubt about that. I have zero doubt about that. And look, whatever way the rules are in the WNBA, if I'm going to be real for a team. If trans women are allowed to play, and that's the rule, go sign her. Genuinely, go sign her. You've then suddenly got a bruising center who's going to be the best rebounder day one in the WNBA. And like, this has now become general news. I have to talk about it, but like, Julie Tatar has come out and said if a team asked her to join, she wouldn't say no. And look, this is one of those things where it's like, I really don't, I don't know what way this goes, and I'll give the Caitlin Clark diplomatic answer on this and say this is above my pay grade. You know, let the leagues and government decide. It's above my pay grade. But in a slightly joking, slightly not joking way, Fever need a big. Fever need a big. They need a big to go in and grab boards. In a mostly joking, slightly not joking way. Fever need boards. And the Fever need boards. So, yeah, look. This is the first and last time I'm going to talk about this topic. This is becoming much bigger news. This situation is becoming much bigger news and always was going to. And I've always said that again, this is a topic that I'm going to give the Caitlin Clark answer for this. I'm going to give the Caitlin Clark answer while talking about this. For whether or not like she should be allowed to play in the WNBA, but at the same time, look, this like pre-transition, Julie Tatar pre-transition was probably worse than me at basketball. I was a D3 guy. I was a D3 rotational piece level player at my peak. If I was in the States, like, and if we're being honest, that's Julie Tatar, after watching clips of her playing, she's not a WNBA level player. She's not far off it. She's not. Like, she's playing in a lower league, but it's not a horrific league. There's a lot of decent young players in that league, but the level of dominance she's showing in that league, like, she's the level of a training camp player. Genuinely. And then last thing about this topic is the Clay Travis $10 million game for a high school team against the Las Vegas Aces. The high school team would win by 75 points. Obviously, it will never happen. The high school team would win by 75 points. I think if you brought a middle school all-star team and it's a bunch of, and you bring that 7'6" guy in and a bunch of athletic 6'8" guys that are shooting step back threes, and some of them built like grown men, the best middle school team probably does. Sports are, split men and women for a reason. That's not saying that Caitlin Clark, AJ Wilson, all these players aren't better basketball players, but it's very different being 6 foot tall and facing a 6'8" demigod on the other end. Big difference. But yeah, I didn't really want to talk too much about that topic, but it is a relevant topic. It's a relevant topic if we're being real. Like, it is. No matter what you want to say, no matter what I want to say or don't want to say about it, it is a relevant topic. But now we're back. We're back to stay off the tweet. Oh, Raven, why, Raven, why? Like, someone comments on TikTok, why aren't you playing? And someone says, yes, why? Because I only watch WNBA because of you and Olivia Miles. I mean, okay, weird two players, but stand who you want to stand. And then she replies with a shrug. She replies with a shrug. Just don't reply. Like, anyone who has been watching the Indiana Fever, there are multiple reasons why Raven Johnson isn't playing. One, Ty Harris is playing better than her. Two, she's a player who kind of relies a lot on her confidence, and her confidence appears to be shot. From watching her play, her confidence looks like it's shot. Three, she hasn't figured out what she does yet in the WNBA. She hasn't figured out what she does yet. And that's not a knock on Raven Johnson. She is a role player. She is coming in as a role player. And when you are a role player, what you did at high school, what you did in college is never what translates exactly. Like, you've got to figure out what you do at the WNBA level. Like, being this physical defender, she's not very good at it right now. She can't run an offense in the WNBA because teams pressure her. Teams pressure her instead of when she was in college. Because we've seen it when she's played against a zone, she does a good job of running the show. But in college, you weren't getting a top-tier defender on you, and they either pressure her or they just don't guard her. They don't guard her. It is a thing where I think Raven's going to have a long WNBA career. I don't know if it's in Indiana. But, like, what does she do well? I think that's a valid question to ask. What does Raven Johnson do well at the WNBA level? I really, really don't know. I really don't know. And she has time to figure it out. And I don't think she knows because she hasn't gotten enough chances. But, like, seconds. But when it comes to Raven, there's no point saying about this. Her defense went bad, her offense even worse. Ty Harris is better than her currently. Yeah. She needs some self-awareness. She looks like a lost kid every time stepping forward. Man, she walked in bounds the last game. Like, she just doesn't. She isn't. Not that she isn't ready, because we saw when she was getting a lot of minutes early in the season, she looked good. Like, she's not ready to be a you might play this game, you won't play next game type player. She's not ready to be a okay, you mightn't play for a game and a half, get ready, stay ready so you never have to get ready type player. And no young player is. No young players have that vet mindset. And they all come in, especially with Raven, how she played in preseason. When Raven had that 17-point game, I think was it against Golden State, when she had a 17-point game, like, your confidence is through the roof. She was playing okay when she was playing okay when Caitlin was injured. She was playing okay. So I get it. It's one of those things as a young player that's really difficult. It is really difficult when your role changes game by game, when you have not established what one skill you do at the pro level is, and you have a vet who just gets the game better than you right now. That's not really Raven's fault. I would say some of it's Raven's fault. But, like, it's no more than any young player. Like, it's not like a knock on Raven. Like, Raven Johnson is a young player with potential. She's absolutely a young player with a decent amount of potential. And I don't know if she reaches that in Indiana. I would not be surprised the Indiana Fever are not maybe actively shopping her, but are at least shopping her. And she might not make it to year 2 for the Fever, but she's going to be in this league for 10 years. I have no doubt about that. And eventually she'll figure out what one thing she does well. And if she starts doing one thing well to get on the floor, she does a lot of little things that will keep her on the floor. At the same time, like, look, you can't be going on social media when people ask you why aren't you playing and going with shrug emojis. You just can't. It is not what you want to see, because, again, it hijacks a fucking conversation. It hijacks a conversation. But for me, I think Raven just has not, like, it just has not had it hasn't got a good run of things. It just hasn't worked out so far. The team didn't need a point guard. She's not even really a point guard. I think a lot of her minutes with Caitlin have looked pretty good. I think in general, a lot of her minutes with Caitlin have looked really good. So it's just a tough one when Ty Harris has been better. She got Ty Harris at rotation, and then when her minutes went down, she started struggling a bit more. Like, that happens. That happens for young players. And what you can't be doing is going on Instagram, replying to people talking about you not playing. Like, this is Alyssa Smith type shit. This is the shit that Alyssa Smith was doing in 2024. When likes were public, and Alyssa Smith was there publicly liking to anti-Christy Side's tweets about not putting her in the rotation and all this other stuff. Like, and yeah, someone said it here, Raven was decent during Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark's your turn, my turn. Because there was an era where they couldn't play with each other. But now we're like I'm going to be real. I don't know exactly how important net points is, but if you look at net points, Raven Johnson has the lowest net points in the entire league. In the entire league. Like for players on a team that's above 500. They have the highest net points she's the lowest net points in the league of all players. And she seems to struggle in limited minutes. Whereas Ty Harris can come in for 2.5 minutes and be ready and still give you the same effort, same play. Raven, it feels like Raven's a player that needs to play big minutes. That she gets her rhythm in games. She needs to be a player. She needs to play a lot of minutes, and right now she's not good enough for that. And look, I think she's going to find her spot in the league. I really do. I don't think that's Indiana. But sure, look, it's she's going to have a long career anyway, so maybe she will be there next season, but I really don't know. I really, really, really don't know. Okay, so if he will regret trading Passat. Did you see Passat block that dumbass on Twitter? The dumbass that has spent the last couple of weeks hate watching Passat. She blocked that dumbass on Twitter. KK was not a W player, man. Did you? I never said it during the season. I said it during the off season. Did you? If you watched how bad Kelsey Mitchell was, or say KK was, KK played 0 minutes a game, and when she was on, she didn't look like she knew how to play basketball when she was in Europe. Wow. 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 The second most viewed game on ESPN or ABC ever. The only more viewed game, if I'm not mistaken, was Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. First game of year 2. Up 77% year-on-year average. And people still have the neck to claim that the Indiana Fever shouldn't have more games on national TV. The Indiana Fever should have all their games every year. And this is one of those things where it's it's very, very clear that a team like the Indiana Fever are the team. They are the team. And people are watching this game where people are watching this game to watch one of the greatest rookies, the greatest rookie of all time, regular season. And by the way, I've never lost on a WNBA video. I have never lost more than 8 subscribers on a video. On the video where I said Olivia Miles is the greatest rookie of all time, I lost, let me double check. It was at 40. It was at 40 in 3,000 views. It is 51. I've lost 51 subscribers from one video, which is mad. It takes me like a week to build that up right now. But someone said mad at Caitlin for losing the game on Sunday. But the Indiana Fever are still the draw. Caitlin Clark is still the needle. And somehow, like, I was about to say somehow viewership is going up. But viewership was obviously going up because if you guys don't know how they do the ratings. Like, you add a couple of 100,000. The rest of the league feels like is down on last year. They are down in 2024. The Indiana Fever are at least an equivalent. And I'm going to be real. What people have what people don't seem to realize is at the WNBA as a league ran off the basketball fans from caring about the league. It is as simple as that. So basically, they have made everything into you are either Caitlin Clark or you are anti-Caitlin Clark. So what has now happened is that people will watch to see Olivia Miles to see her play Caitlin. People watch Paige to see her play Caitlin. People watch Angel to see her play Caitlin. People will watch AJ to see her play Caitlin. No one gives a flying fuck about watching them play when they're not playing Caitlin. The WNBA has done such a bad job of things that somehow they didn't manage to make it. Like, all you had to fucking do was try to make stories that weren't this person against Caitlin Clark. Like, you didn't even push Taurasi against Skylar Diggins in 2024 as a league. You didn't even push that. It's one of those things now where you pretty much fucked up 2 years worth of growth. Because the league is somehow at best, an equivalent position, viewership-wise, outside of Caitlin Clark games, as it was 2 years ago. Whereas Caitlin Clark games are either in an equivalent position or better. So the viewership is not going up. The attendance, yes, because what the Golden State Valkyries are doing. There's more teams. There's going to be more. Like, the WNBA are now pushing total viewers. They're talking about total viewers. Oh, we've broken total viewers. Yeah, you add 2 new teams to the league. No shit, you broke total viewers. You've added 88 more games to the league. Like, they're out there trying to push that. And I'm like, as a league, you have ran everyone off. Like, in 2024, like, I don't think people understand, the casual fan, that in 2024 became a Caitlin Clark fan, and the WNBA was the summer of 2024. Like, I don't think people realize, after Enrique's All-Star game, the Dallas Wings were the second most viewed team for the rest of 2024. They were, like, the rest of 2024 was the Wings were the second biggest team in the league. Because what Enrique did in the All-Star game is that people watched these games and people became interested in teams. They became interested in storylines, all of this stuff. Like, these teams have players that are interesting. And the league didn't even market this game. The league should have spent all their damn time marketing this game. This was the game. This was the best versus second best team. This was the near unbeatable Lynx versus, like, this is when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. The Fever, who nobody could stop. And the Lynx still couldn't stop the Fever. The Fever just couldn't play defense. You have the best rookie of all time versus peak for peak, the best point guard of all time. At her, like, in Caitlin Clark, who is in the best spell of her career. You also have Courtney Williams, who's one of the stub buds, who's a big draw because everyone loves Courtney Williams. While Kelsey Mitchell is realistically having one of the best guard stretches of all time. And you've still got Aaliyah Boston there. And then you could make a whole thing about Natasha Howard leaving the Fever. You could have done everything to market this game. Even Cheryl Reeve versus Sophie Cunningham. You could have done everything to market it, and you didn't. And it still is the second most viewed game. Why? Because people care about... Unfortunately, they care when Caitlin Clark plays. They don't care about anything else. They don't. The WNBA has gone out of their way to basically demonize new fans that came in, to make new fans dislike the league. And that is why you are seeing new fans realistically only watch the Fever. Because they're saying, well, the league doesn't want us, but I really want to watch this game, so I'm not going to go on my way to watch these games. And now you're seeing again, you've got 2.5 million viewers and peaks at 3.1. And I get that. Whatever about like the new way they do ratings. Yes, these look higher than 2024. They're not. But they're still close. And ironically, non-Fever games are down across the board. Holy shit. The thread Natasha Cloud posted, you mean the one about the referees? Sorry, I'm just not in a great spot head-wise. I'm just in a bad way. Sorry, I'm sick and the lights aren't doing a good job. Yeah, she talked with the free throws. Like, it is what it is. Camilla got screwed by the refs. She got screwed. She got hacked on what would have been a game icing play, and they just ignored it twice. She got hacked twice. Brock Lesnar retired. Where are we going here? What is our next topic? Oh, yeah, I need to be real here. Yeah, but Steph's subbing Caitlin off on defense. Yeah, I mean, you can't guard Olivia Miles like you did Caitlin Clark as a rookie because Olivia Miles has competent teammates. Caitlin Clark had Katie Lou. But yeah, today we're going to be talking a little bit about Caitlin Clark and about Stephanie White with Caitlin Clark. Because if you guys haven't seen, in the in all of these games, for some reason, Caitlin Clark or Stephanie White makes the same dumb mistake every single time. And it is on key defensive positions. On key defensive possessions, Stephanie White will sub Caitlin Clark out of the game. Now, this would make sense if Caitlin Clark was a bad defender. This would make sense if Caitlin Clark was a bad rebounder. This would make sense if you had a real good defender on the bench. But you're subbing on Lexi Hull, who might be the worst defender on the team. If you look at, again, I don't think net points is the biggest factor of anything. Caitlin Clark is what? Based on net points on ESPN, of all players that play relevant minutes, the entire Fever team other than MHA are a minus on the defensive end. But the Caitlin Clark is minus 19. Kelsey Mitchell minus 43. Aaliyah minus 70. And Sophie minus 15. Lexi minus 18. Based on every stat, based on net rating, the Indiana Fever are like 5 points better defensively per 100 possessions when Caitlin Clark is on the floor. Caitlin Clark's defensive win shares are the best, as far as I'm aware, of the 3 Indiana Fever starting 1, 2, 3. She is by all metrics the best defender, the best guard defender on the Indiana Fever. It's mad to say, and that is not saying Caitlin Clark good on defense. That is a problem with that is a roster building problem. But she has been the best guard. And not only that, the Indiana Fever concede on, I would say, 80%. 80% of possessions that they sub Caitlin Clark out for, they concede. The only excuse is if you're trying to foul and Caitlin's in foul trouble and you want to sub on someone on one foul to go in and hack. And that for me is the real excuse, is the real one thing, one main thing. But I don't think people understand this as well. If you're saying, oh, they're going to call a timeout anyway, we're bringing on our best defensive lineup, why the fuck is Kelsey Mitchell in the game? Why is Kelsey Mitchell in the game in that scenario? But not only why is Kelsey Mitchell in the game, you lose the transition attempt. It's as simple as that. You lose the transition attempt. If Caitlin is on the floor for defensive possessions at the end of the game, and they missed a shot, and the ball lands in Caitlin Clark's hands, you don't have to call an immediate timeout to sub Caitlin Clark on. She can push the floor, and you can get a transition opportunity, which is your easiest bucket. You lose your transition. You lose your transition by taking Caitlin Clark off the floor. You really do. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, look, if you are the Fever, you're looking and seeing every metric tell you to subbing off Caitlin Clark is a bad idea. And for the entire year, she's done it. Heck, I don't even think she did it last year. The Sky hit back-to-back clutch shots on defensive possessions that Caitlin Clark wasn't in for, and they lost to the Sky. Freaking back-to-back. I'm like, it's getting really bad. It's getting really bad. And the problem is Raven Johnson can't guard anybody. She can't guard anybody right now. No matter what people want to say, oh, she guarded Sarah Strong in college. Fucking Tierra McCown was a defensive player of the year in college. This is bad game management. It is bad game management. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is bad game management taking a good rebounding guard who is a really good help defender when she wants to be, who when she locks in is your best perimeter defender. We saw that on possessions where Olivia Miles tried to get Caitlin on an island. Yes, Caitlin Clark is not a great off-ball defender. Yes, Caitlin Clark switches off on defense. Yes, Caitlin Clark coasts at times on defense because she has so much of an offensive load. Absolutely. Every great offensive player does. Harris, everyone talks about, LeBron's one of the greatest offensive players or defensive players of all time. In the 2016 finals, LeBron guarded Harrison Barnes instead of Kevin Durant. Why? Instead of anyone better. He guarded Harrison Barnes. In the 2017 finals, he didn't guard Kevin Durant. He guarded Iggy. He guarded Draymond at times. He basically didn't he didn't ever guard team's best player because you don't want your best offensive player to do that. You have got Caitlin Clark, who in all those scenarios, look, I don't think subbing on Caitlin Clark would have made any difference. But what's the point? You're wasting a timeout getting Caitlin Clark back on the floor. You're wasting a reset getting her back on the floor. You are forcing a live ball. I was going to say normally you're wasting it, but like you can make the sub after you concede. And if we're being real here, they concede every single time. It's just bad coaching decision. And it's just consistently. It is consistently a decision that is made by Stephanie White. Time and time and time again. Like, you have, in your lineup, you have a mediocre defender. And, in my opinion, 2 bad defenders. But somehow the mediocre defender subbed off. For, by the way, Sophie Cunningham's a bad defender who also gets subbed in for these defensive possessions. Like, they had Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull. They're all worse defenders than Caitlin Clark. They're all worse defenders than Caitlin. And the problem is that no, there's no good perimeter defender. Man, you would if you want to say Ty Harris, what Caitlin Chen did to Ty Harris violates the fucking Geneva Convention. It was that bad. It was that bad. Like, she had 17 points. Was it 17 or was it 13 in 3 minutes or something? By just going ISO. And yeah, look, it is a frustrating thing seeing Stephanie White do it. It is so frustrating. Always. It is always frustrating whenever you see it happen, because you just know the ball is going in the basket. You know, no matter what happens, once that ball's inbounded, when Caitlin's on the bench waiting to sub in, they're going to score. You could be up 3 points, they'll find a way to give up a 4-point possession. Just everything about it. Everything about it. You just know. You just know. But yeah, it is a not great scenario at all. I do want to talk about the Justine Passat situation, because like, it is one of those things where, like, people that don't get basketball, the people that don't understand basketball, it's so funny. It is so funny looking at the Justine Passat situation. But this situation is so funny. Everything around the Justine Passat situation since joining the Aces. So, if you guys have not seen, Justine Passat hasn't really been up to much. She's not really cracking the rotation for the Aces. She's had a couple of games where she's done all right. She's shooting 44% from 3. She's getting a lot of threes up. She's 2 of 4 in her last 2 games. But, like, she's been okay. And she obviously had that first breakout game. But you've got people that don't understand basketball, like, that are out here hate watching a end of bench rookie and not realizing what exactly Justine Passat is for the Aces, and what exactly Justine Passat, why the Fever got rid of Justine Passat. If we're being real, Justine Passat was not going to help the Fever win this year. And that is why the Fever got rid of her. The Fever got rid of her for vibes, because they like Dantas. You can hear that with Stephanie White being like, it's going to be so tough losing Dantas. She's a connector. Okay, cool. They got rid of her because Dantas was there for vibes. But Justine Passat is the equivalent, like, giving up on Justine Passat is the equivalent of having, I'm just trying to think in the NBA, are there any you can think of that are like these hyper athletic freak players you have, and you know they're gonna be good in like 2 or 3 years, but you're not, whatever you do, you're not getting rid of them. They might average 4 points per game they might average like nothing as a rookie, but like they don't care. We're keeping them no matter what. Like, I think Siakam, for me, Pascal Siakam is a good example, because if you know anything about Pascal Siakam in Toronto, I know the team was tanking, so it's a different scenario. But like, Siakam averaged like 4 points per game on hilariously bad shooting and was awful. He was awful. But everyone knew, no matter what happened. No, I mean hyper athletic players that aren't ready to play yet, or like players that you just aren't ready to play yet, but you know we're going to be good, and the team's not giving up on them. It kind of reminds me of like a Siakam type thing, where it's like, is she ready yet? No. She is 6'4", super long, and shoots the shit out of the ball. At some stage in her rookie year, it's going to click. She has got 3 to 4 years to develop, and she was a player who really only came into her own as a senior. She's got 3 to 4 years to develop. If I'm her, because she projects to be a role player, I'm getting overseas. I'm getting to Europe. And I'm trying to carve myself out. I'm trying to, if by next season you become Chloe Bibby, like, I'm getting to Europe where I'm going to have to play reps at the 5. And I'm going to have to learn how to be an interior defender, which she's not right now. She's going to have to learn to be an interior defender. But if we're being real, Justine Bissott would have been a key part to the Fever long term. She would have been. Like, 6'4" snipers don't grow on trees. They just don't. Like, the Chicago, like, it is such a rare archetype that the Chicago Sky are perfectly fine with their 6'4" shooter going to college next year, so that they get her in 4 years' time. They are perfectly fine with their top 10 pick from 2025 going to college and basically redshirting her like for 4 years. KK is another example. KK is a different type of player, but like, KK clearly was not ready last year. I thought KK was garbage in Europe. And what KK has been doing this year, like, KK's pushing to start. KK's really pushing to start. And KK was not good enough to play last year. She was not good enough really to play. And that is the thing where it's like, she is in and out, like, she is borderline in the Aces rotation. She's not far off the Aces rotation, who are one of the best teams in the league. Obviously, Becky Hammond is not a player who plays rookies. She's going to be in the Aces rotation next year. And the odds of her, there is a non-zero chance she starts next year. Depending on how her development is, she might start. And she's 6'4". If she learns to play power forward, like, let's be real, she's a real good shot blocker. She's a real good shot blocker for a wing. We saw it in preseason. We've seen it in a few clips. She is a good shot blocker. So if she ends up getting some lower body strength, has any ability to guard the 4, and gets a little bit better defensive IQ wise, and gets a little bit smarter on the floor, this is a $1 million player who you could have got for $290K. And the Fever said, nah. For me, there was no excuse. There was no excuse for Van Slooten over. I don't care if Van Slooten plays better at practice. I don't care. It's not 2025. At the pro level, it is about transferable skills. It is about you have to look long term. You have to see what's going to transfer and what isn't going to transfer. You can't just say, look, this player is good. Why are they good? They went to South Carolina. You know, they played for a good college. We like their college coach. It's not 2005 anymore. Other teams are smarter, and you got fucking duped by one of the dumbest teams, front offices in the WNBA in the Aces. How the fuck did you get duped by one of the dumbest front offices in the league? Like, the Aces are incredibly bad franchise. They literally refuse to scout overseas. Like, it is a known thing that they refuse to scout overseas. They are like... And you got fucking duped by them. You got duped by them. And by the way, I don't think you realize, she would be a Minnesota Lynx, by the way. Like, I'm like, with the way the Lynx were doing things, if Chloe Bibby, if she was still there during the Chloe Bibby situation, she would be a member of the Minnesota Lynx right now. Because you better believe the Minnesota Lynx would be smart. Especially because I don't know how much they're going to play to Chloe Bibby. And basically sign Chloe Bibby. But younger. Chloe Bibby with more potential. It is what it is. And people who scout overseas other than the Valks, the Mercury scout overseas made the final last year, the Aces scout, or not the Aces, the Lynx scout overseas, the Liberty scout overseas, the Sun scout overseas, the Dallas Wings scout overseas, the Atlanta Dream scout overseas, the Washington Mystics scout overseas, shout out Alicia Flores, the Portland Fire were scouting overseas. I don't know about the tempo. I'm guessing if Seattle Storm took Awafam, they're probably looking overseas at something. But yes, other teams do scout overseas. But the whole thing with Passat is, like, you've got dumbasses online who are basically trying to dunk on a rookie and are hate watching a rookie because the Fever got rid of her and everyone was thinking that was such a bad decision. The problem isn't the now. Like, Dantas might be a better basketball player than Justine Passat now, but neither of them are helping the team this year. And this is what people don't understand, is that when you are a fan of a team, you're not a fan of the team for that year. You're looking long term. Like, do you want to be the Phoenix Suns of the WNBA? Or do you actually want to start to look at things long term? Do you want to start to look at situations long term? Do you want to go and try to build a team for the future of Caitlin Clark or Leah Boston? Or do you want to try to win the championship in 2026 and whatever the fuck happens after 2026, we don't care? Like, and that is the way WNBA teams acted for too long. And there's a reason why the Indiana Fever as an organization was garbage. Like, when you have Tamika Catchings and you still couldn't do anything. You couldn't do anything even when you had Tamika Catchings. Like, that is an issue. So yeah, just give me 1 second. Sorry, I need to stretch out the old legs. Okay, so Damiris Dantas obviously is out for the year. I think everybody knows with Damiris Dantas that she was awful this year. She should not be a member of the Fever right now, based on merit. Apparently, she's good for vibes, which, I mean, it kind of matters. But the Indiana Fever are in a weird spot. So, look, we now know. We all thought they were going to make a trade, and this was why. We now know why they signed their dev contract big. I don't love the signing still. I really don't. Like, she can kind of block shots, but I really don't. Where is it? Where is the new signing? Post. He signed right after the Portland game. Whatever the new signing is. There we go, sorry. Michelle Onyia. Like, they signed her clearly to come in for Dantas as a dev player. they basically had to go and bring in a big because they wanted somebody in for Dantas, and this is who they brought in. So my guess is that she is going to go and play a few minutes over the next few games. I think they're probably going to call her up. And they basically, she's got a 3-game maybe trial, and they might call her up. But my guess is that the Indiana Fever, if they're smart about it, they do not use the injured player exception yet. The Damiris Dantas injured player exception, that they don't use it yet. I think they use it. I don't think they should use it yet. I think what the Indiana Fever should be looking at doing is waiting after the World Cup. After the World Cup. Because after the World Cup, there's about 5 players that are really interesting. And who knows? There's definitely going to be a big from some country not in the league. And you are one of the few teams with money. You're one of the few teams with money. Oh, bring a free agent in. You can see who does well. You can bring in your big. And if that doesn't work out, you can just call up Michelle. You can... it's pronounced like the Irish singer Anya. Anya. But yeah, it is like I think it is like, and also the Irish singer is Enya, not Anya. I had to double check that. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. At the same time, with Dantas going, they kind of have to replace her. And this is obviously their fallback. She is the fallback. I think they're going to see how she is in practice. They use another dev slot. They've got it. They can do what they want here. They can do what they want, and it's a good position to be in. Like, I don't feel like the Indiana Fever have done a good job. I think they've done a good job of flexibility, and that's about it. The problem is, part of the flexibility is they have the flexibility to move off Caitlin or Kelsey Mitchell at the end of the year. That's a bit of weird flexibility, but it's going to be tough to keep both. But they have flexibility when it comes to these bigs. They can go and they can absolutely go and keep her or get rid of her for a big. But Dantas getting injured, this one makes sense. This is why they signed her. They signed her so that she can play as a dev player to be an extra big for the next 10 games or so. Because how many games do they have till the World Cup? So the World Cup is the start of September. I will be going to the World Cup. I have tickets for quite a few of the games. I don't know if I'll be live. I'll be live for most of the games. I won't be live for all the Fever games, obviously. It's one of my best friend's weddings. So I'm doing that. I'm going to his wedding, then I'm going straight to Germany from there. It's actually cheaper to get to Germany than it is to get home. It's actually cheaper to fly home through Germany. It's just fly home. So it's grand. But post-Olympic break, they have... So the Olympic break is after Saturday, August 29th. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4... They have only 4 games left in the year after the Olympic break. And then the playoffs. So they have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have 10 more games other than that. So... you can play Michelle for these 10 games. Have her in the team for 10 games. And by the way, there's 14 games left in the season. If you have a roster spot, you have the disabled player, the injured player exception. If she is not on the roster for every single game, or Bree Hall is not on the roster, the Indiana Fever are heartless. The only thing the Fever are doing are costing them money. Like, it's as simple as that. The only thing in that scenario that the Indiana Fever are doing is costing their dev player money. They're not doing anything else. They're not doing anything anything positive. They're just costing a dev player some coins. But yeah, look, I I do feel in general like this is an interesting topic. It's something with the Indiana Fever where they do need to shore up that big. They just do. Like, whatever you want to say, I think they have to shore up that position, because I feel like that's the difference between them being a contender and them being a title favorite. And I don't think you're going to overtake the Minnesota Lynx. I think they got no. I don't think they've got any like weaknesses as the Lynx, and the Fever have so many weaknesses. And at least like Michelle's a good defensive big, or was a good defensive big in Upshot and a good defensive big in college. Struggled a lot in Europe, but it is what it is. It'll be an interesting one to see how she gets on. Do I think it'll be well? Probably not. Like, I don't know. I really don't know if she's gonna ever do anything, but like, at least it's something for the Fever. It's a new player in that can hopefully give us something. Anything if we're being honest. That's kind of all you can hope for as Indiana Fever fan, is to just get anything out of some players. But yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. That is this, and this is why they got rid of Dantas. This is why they signed her. They signed her because they knew Dantas was done for the year. A bit of a weird one why they knew Dantas was injured for weeks and, didn't just keep Sot, but it is what it is. And also, I just saw this. This is mental. I did not see this at all. That there was talk about Justine Pissot going back to college because of new eligibility rules. Like, what are we doing? So, there was a case for eligibility here. And Justine Pissot is a plaintiff in it. This is mental. Is her name mentioned in this at all? Plaintiffs, yada yada. Is there a name to this? Not that I can see, but still. Justine Pissot played. Like, this would be a hilarious thing. Like, and you know what? If she's able to, go do it. Go do it. Go play in the WNBA. Imagine winning a WNBA championship and then stepping off from winning a WNBA championship and walking back to Vanderbilt and playing for Vanderbilt again. And that would be hilarious. If instead of playing pro for a year, she went back and played college for another year. The Aces would have no issue with that. I don't think the Aces would have any issue with that one. That would be objectively the funniest thing ever. An individual can do a survey on landscape. She's on a regular roster and played. They should have stopped. Yada yada. She most likely joined the lawsuit while Stephanie didn't activate her for a single game. That's very true. And Justine Pissot. Okay, so Justine Pissot came out and said this is false. Tweeted out, "I'm exactly where I belong. God is good. God is so good." Why is she posted after that Dallas season ender? Yeah, it was nothing to do with that. It's this. But still, this is a crazy situation. And look, there is a world where she wanted to go back to super senior because of the eligibility when Stephanie had her playing 0 minutes. Like, there's a world where her agent threw her name onto this, because there's a good chance potentially her agent was just like, what's the harm of her getting another year of eligibility if she wants to use it? What's the harm? But obviously, it says here, last Friday, they granted a class-wide preliminary injunction, forced the NCAA to declare eligibility for every high school class of 2022 athlete whose eligibility ran out this spring. In other words, the injunction goes through. Athletes who fall in this category would be granted another year eligibility and therefore return to college for one more season. It would seem that the rookie Pissot falls in this category, which came to light when Popular Basketball account replied to a recent update. It said Justine Pissot is a plaintiff in this case for eligibility. She played in WNBA game today. She becomes eligible for this upcoming season. Yada yada. And she said it's false. So we know Pissot is probably calling the claim she's a plaintiff in the case false, rather than disputing the potential implications of the claim itself. Injunction is granted. Passat wouldn't need to be applied in the actual case to be granted an extra year of eligibility. There's currently no rule that would keep her from potentially returning to college despite playing the WNBA. Wow. And to be fair, like, that makes sense, because what quantifies a pro league? Like, Aisha Sivka played in the top league in Spain last year. Aisha Sivka probably made more than a WNBA rookie deal. And she's playing 4 years in Kentucky. Like, Aisha Sivka was playing pro for years. These players are playing pro for years overseas. Like, Sergio De La Rey could have went and played in college. Diego Gioman played in college. And Hugo Gonzalez decided to stay. But Kasparis Jakujonas, he went to college. And you're seeing as well, even for American players, some of them are taking the same route as that, with Bunche, who's going to Duke next year at like 17. He's not even eligible, but he's looking like one of the best young players in a long time. Like, Bunche is looking like the best player since Wemby, in my opinion, to come into these drafts. Like, and that includes Cooper Flagg and Di Banks and all them. Like, Bunche is obviously someone who played pro last year and has gone through the professional route, and then has now gone like out of his way to get to Duke. So it's one of these weird things where it's like, obviously the Fever let her go, and she's saying she's happy where she is, but for being real, would you do it if you were her? If you have, like, she's finishing out the season for the Aces. Everyone knows that. And I wouldn't be surprised if she gets some burn in the playoffs. Would you do it? If you have the opportunity to go play Euro Cup or Euro League, or go and play another season in college in the off season, because what's going to happen? Like, she's not the only person in this high school recruiting class. Like, Grace Van Sluten's in this as well. She's not the only one. Like, Gabriella Hawkes is in it. Like, 22 women's top 100 ESPN. So who is eligible to go back to college? Passat's not the only one. So Kiki Rice, Lauren Betts, Janiyah Barker, Chance Gray, Reagan Beers, Passat, Van Sluten, Latson, Little Paige Buggs, Ashlon Jackson, Hawkes, India Navarre, Flaujae. Imagine if Flaujae went back to LSU. Do you think somebody will? Like Shea Chesky. Like, if I'm Shea Chesky, I haven't really been given a look in. If I'm Shea Chesky, I just go and do it. Go play another year, make a bag in college. Wait, Jada Jimfy was a 76th ranked recruit. Dear Lord, what happened to her? She was awful, Iowa. But nobody who's the lowest is Shea Chesky, isn't it? That's currently in the league. But yeah, like, look, what are the odds somebody does it? It doesn't seem like Passat will. Passat was like false, her name wasn't in it. Whether her name's in it or not, like, if this gets granted, does anyone go back? Because you can no longer say about the pro stuff. Like, Claessens and Sivka were drafted in the WNBA, and they've both gone to college. Like, it'll be hard doing your homework and papers in addition to sports. Free masters. I did a master's because I was allowed to do it as a tax write-off. I did a master's. I have a degree in mathematics. I'm a maths teacher. My master's is in communications because I was allowed to do it as a tax write-off. But yeah, look, it is this is a rule that could be mad. It's a rule that could be all around mad, but clearly Justine Passat does not seem like she's going to go back to college. Could she if she wants to? By the looks of things, sure. Does it seem like she wants to? No. It does not seem like Justine Passat has any intention of going back to Vanderbilt. And obviously her saying that she's happy where she's exactly where she belongs. It's a long ass off season. And I wonder whether or not she's at least considered it. I wonder whether or not she at least considered it. But yeah. Crazy out one. Crazy out story. Crazy out story. Where is it? Oh God. Like this is like it's actually I gotta talk about this topic, and I feel like this is an important one to talk about. And I'm talking about it live. We have now got to the stage where Caitlin Clark has become underrated as a basketball player. She has actually become underrated. I know. And I'm not saying she's become underrated by her teammates. I'm not saying she's become underrated by players in the league. I'm saying the general conversation around Caitlin Clark is straight up underrating her. A'ja Wilson is the greatest player of all time. And she's in her prime. Caitlin Clark is not as good as A'ja Wilson. But Caitlin Clark is having a season that wins MVP in what? It's years, been there 30 years. Probably 23 of the seasons. What she's doing now is an MVP. Like, I don't think people understand how important gravity is. And this is like back in 2021 when people were trying to talk about remember when there was the Dame and Steph Curry conversation? They're like, oh, look, Dame's average, he's shooting the same percent from three from Steph Curry. He shoots from really far like Steph Curry as well. Like, what can Dame do that Steph Curry can't? Or so, what can Steph do that Dame can't? And that's not the problem. Because they have different types of gravity. So, the whole thing, when it comes to... And like I agree with the points generated stat when people are saying, oh, she's not far behind because of points generated. I actually agree with the points generated stat, but we also have to calm it down a little bit. Because if Caitlin Clark passes the ball to Kelsey Mitchell to initiate an offense, and Kelsey Mitchell decides to jab step, one dribble, step back, fadeaway three, okay, if you look at points generated, Caitlin and Kelsey both generated 6. So... Look, I'm not going to get too bogged down on that. Yes, I believe she generates more offense than everybody else, but the exact same, like, just using numbers isn't a thing. But, like, if we remember Steph Curry's gravity, so Steph will be kind of here, his defender will be here, they'd be on him, which allowed the other players on the court, whatever they wanted to run, to run whatever they wanted with more space. Curry would then make cuts, Curry would be a screener, Curry would run out, and suddenly you would see situations where if this screen connected, Curry would scare the bejesus out of teams, and you'd see sometimes teams sending 2 to Curry and leaving players wide open here. And then suddenly these players help in, you got wide open corner shooters. So that was the kind of Curry gravity. Curry's gravity was mostly off-ball gravity. Like, that was mostly what Curry's gravity was. And Caitlin's on-ball gravity is greater than I've ever seen. Caitlin is not doesn't feel like teams are as worried about off-ball Caitlin as they were as a rookie, even though Caitlin's a much better off-ball player now. It's that off-ball, they're okay with Caitlin just being a scorer. And this is why it scares the bejesus out of teams. Is that I don't think people understand this. And when people don't know basketball, and I see tweets being like, why is a 30'3" and a 3 from here, why are they seen as different things? If someone's shooting 20% from here and 35% from here, yes, it's a bad shot to shoot from here. But if you shoot the equivalent from this arc as you do from this arc, if you shoot a similar percentage, that is one of the most dangerous things in all of basketball. Sorry, I missed the full thing. It is one of the most dangerous things in all of basketball. Why? Because the entire defense has to be, whether that's first line of help, whether that's, because let's just say here, Caitlin's out here. And you look at pick and rolls here. I come here. Players are not going to go under screen and rolls, so they're going to fight up, which means players have to start hedging screens up here. What does that mean? It allows Aaliyah to break into here, and you have all this space in a 4-on-3. Whereas if Caitlin's running the same thing from here, and a normal player doesn't have that range, and they're running a pick and roll, and let's just say Aaliyah goes and gets it, or any sort of off-ball action or any action, then Aaliyah gets the ball here, and they've sent the double, they've got two defenders on Caitlin, and Aaliyah gets it here. Aaliyah runs the 4-on-3, becomes a situation where the 4-on-3 is in this area here, which is a lot smaller of an area than generating a 4-on-3 from Aaliyah catching it here in this area. Because Caitlin's being guarded out to here. You have added double the spacing for the 4-on-3. And basically, if you don't get a basket off this, you're like, or generate an open shot off that, it's nothing. We saw so many times in early on in the Lynx game. And this is why early on when Caitlin wasn't scoring points, I'm like, oh my God, Caitlin's killing them. Caitlin would dribble up the floor. And then there were scenarios where, and this is why I hate people are like, oh, they're trying to suppress Caitlin's numbers with hockey assists. No. Aaliyah Boston, they're guarding Caitlin up here with Caitlin McBride. A lot of scenarios, Howard is kind of guarding here, and suddenly Aaliyah's wide open here. Caitlin gets the ball to Aaliyah. The defender helps in off of Kelsey Mitchell. Bang. And not only that, because Caitlin is such a threat from this second arc, it's not that Caitlin's a threat, just a threat from there, because if she's a pure off-ball threat, you can stop that by denying, because what Caitlin's not great at doing is cutting backdoor. That is the Paige and AZ special. That is what Caitlin needs to learn this offseason, to cut backdoor. So because of this second arc, which is essentially because you might be saying, oh, it's a 4-point line. No, it's a 3-point line, but Caitlin shoots a better percentage from here than here. So that is why teams have the guard there. Because Caitlin's so dangerous, a dribble, pull back, the pull back dribble to get full rhythm and going and putting a shot, or dribble, and using her forward momentum to pull from here on the break. Because she shoots that shot at a 35% rate. Teams have to pick up. So if anyone switches off for a split second as a team, so let's say Caitlin McBride, one of the most disciplined defenders, but we saw it sometimes against Seattle with Flaw J. Flaw J might switch off, and she might be doing something. So Caitlin has the advantage here where Flaw J's chasing Caitlin. So what ends up happening is that whoever is guarding here steps up to stop Caitlin from shooting from here. And what does that mean? Because it's transition, you've either generated a wide open layup or a wide open corner three. Because what Caitlin is able to do is, if the layup's not on, it's because, let's just say, again, shooter here, rim runner here. If either, like I said, is wing run, let's say it's a rim run down the middle. And because Aaliyah can shoot the three as well, Aaliyah's the trailer. So Aaliyah's trailing. You've then got shooter. In defense in transition, what ends up happening then is somebody has to go and pick up the ball. Pick up a Monique Billings running through. You've got to respect Aaliyah Boston. You basically have to decide, do we want a trailing Aaliyah to shoot the three or drive in, where she's a 17-point per game scorer? Do we want a wide open pass that Caitlin can throw to Sophie or Kelsey Mitchell? And that is mad, because this is all if the first option isn't on of Caitlin Clark, who has burned her player. A player has to step up and the entire defense is scrambling, and somebody just runs in a wide open layup. Like, somebody just runs in a wide open layup. And this is the one thing people don't understand about Caitlin's gravity. It's the reason why the shot distance matters. Because Caitlin Clark is an above average shooter percentage-wise. She shoots from so far away. In like, people don't understand that when everyone talks about, oh, you need to, add a 4-point line, take away corner threes, it'll stop the 3-point. No, you need to make the court smaller. There's a reason why in FIBA. Her game, by the way, is more suited to the bigger court. Her game is absolutely because her game is more suited to the W. Bigger court, everything. But when you are able to realistically, how big of a difference is, let's just say, this area here? You're looking probably, how much bigger Caitlin Clark makes the court? You are looking in terms of area. In terms of area, my guess would be, let's just say it is 6 feet back by how far is the court wide? Basketball court width. WNBA court width. Maybe they have the same court as FIBA, so it's 50 feet. So 50 feet by, let's just say, 6 feet in distance, 50 feet across. You have increased the size of the usable court, the usable half court, by, 300 feet? By 300 feet. So 94 feet wide, 94 feet by 50 feet is, let me just see what that is as a percentage. Calculator. So 47 by 50. 47 by 50 equals 2,350. 300 divided by 2,350. Just on an estimate, you've made the half court 13% bigger. She makes a half court 13% bigger. And that is why Caitlin, whatever with her guard, when Caitlin is allowed run the show. When Caitlin is out here as an ISO player, cool. She's hitting shots. But when she is allowed kind of play her game, when she's allowed control the tempo of the game, and this is the difference between Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell is the best play finisher in this league. Kelsey Mitchell might end up, when it's all said and done, be an MVP. Like, if she keeps doing what she's doing every single game for the rest of the season and she wins MVP, it's not even, like, I'm not even bothered about that. She's the best play finisher in the league. But Caitlin Clark's the greatest offensive weapon this sport has seen, man or woman, since Caitlin Clark. Because, as I've explained in depth here, when you are able, like, there is probably nothing more important than spacing. Than space. And the scariest part is like, if you compare if you put Caitlin Clark on the Minnesota Lynx, and this is why I don't like the whole Olivia Miles better than Caitlin. By Hooper logic, maybe. In a one-off game, maybe. In a random one-off game, Olivia Miles can outplay Caitlin. In a spell of a season, Olivia Miles can outplay Caitlin. It is what it is. Olivia Miles doesn't do what Caitlin Clark does. Like, if you surrounded with a bunch of Caitlin Clark with that Minnesota Lynx team, it's the greatest team of all time. If you let her play her game and put her on this Valkyries team, and Rupert comes back next year, it's the greatest team of all time. Like, she is in a situation where, yeah, Sophie, cool. Offensively, Sophie, spectacular. We're not going to pretend like Sophie is not a spectacular offensive player. She's like a poor man's Easy Foot. We're not going to pretend like she's not a spectacular offensive player. But like, you've got, at all times, you've got a Mo Billings, you've got a KK, who are just kind of getting in the way. If the Fever at any stage put a real team around Caitlin Clark, to work around Caitlin Clark, I don't think people understand how good that team's going to be. The Indiana Fever are the greatest offense of all time. They are the greatest offense ever. By net rating, by points, by every metric, this is the best offensive team ever. And I get it. Kelsey Mitchell's brilliant. Kelsey Mitchell is brilliant. There is no better player in the league at getting their shot no matter what the defense is. And there are times where that is a negative point of Caitlin Clark, is if she is being pressured high. If she is being pressured high and being guarded well, sometimes she can struggle to get her own shot off. The difference is, and it was the difference between Caitlin and every other guard in the league, not just Kelsey Mitchell, is the Dame versus Steph debate all over again. Yeah, Dame Lillard might go through spells where he's going to outscore Steph. He's going to outshoot Steph. He's going to shoot from as far as Steph, where he looks like the best player in the world. Players are. But what Dame doesn't do is create gravity to get players open here, 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 and here. Caitlin Clark, no player in the WNBA gets players open in these, here. Gets players open in these 5 spots. More than anyone. Wide open. These are the best. Like, this is an open layup, corner 3, or wide open wing 3. There is no player in the league that gets players open like this. And yes, Angel Wilson is the best scorer in the league. Her or Kelsey Mitchell. She's one of the best defenders in the league. She's a great rebounder. And when she really feels like it and locks in, she's basically unguardable. Like, in the post. I'm not arguing Caitlin's better than Angel Wilson. She's not. She's not. She's the greatest offensive player this league has ever seen. And by saying Caitlin Clark is underrated, I'm saying that her stats, her impact when she is allowed to run the show is significantly higher than her stats. And her stats are the best of any guard in history. Caitlin Clark might be having, a top? Let's just say in the modern WNBA. Let's just say post 2021. Let's say post 2021. A'ja Wilson 2026 is a better season than what Caitlin's having right now. I don't know if A'ja 2024 was better. Caitlin right now is definitely having a better season in 2025 A'ja. Caitlin might have won MVP 2 of the last 3 years. And A'ja Wilson, if she keeps this up, is earning her MVP. But to pretend that what Caitlin's doing is not what Caitlin's doing, what Caitlin's brings to a team, and being the offensive engine for the greatest offense of all time, pretend that that's social media hype, and to relegate Caitlin into being a political football, and to pretend that to complain when she's put on a top 5 MVP list. All of that. To complain when you see that. You are witnessing, like, this is the first time in history that someone has complained that they hate the greatest offensive player whose team are the greatest offensive team of all time. And this shows people don't like basketball. Because the Indiana Fever, and people are saying, but like, the Indiana Fever, they have all these other players. Do you know who they had before Caitlin Clark got there? They had Melissa Smith, who I think is an equivalent of Monique Billings, if not better than Monique Billings. They had Leah Boston, who started the All-Star game as a rookie. She started the All-Star game. Kelsey Mitchell, who according to the players was better in 2023 than she is right now. They said she's the 7th best guard now. They said she's the 5th best player in 2023. The difference is Caitlin Clark for Erica Wheeler. Caitlin Clark frees up Kelsey Mitchell like no one else. She started doing those football runs. Caitlin Clark frees up Kelsey Mitchell like no one else can. Aaliyah Boston completely changed her body and game to play around Caitlin Clark. Yes, there's been some growing pains this year. I'm expecting Caitlin and Aaliyah's combo to be back to the way it was in 2025 when in 2027, as Aaliyah is carrying an injury. We are looking at a team with a big three, where one of the big three currently has a meniscus injury, and they're still the greatest offense of all time. On a team with, I'm not going to lie, Lexi Hull, Raven Johnson, Maisha Hines-Allen, Grace Van Sluten, who at this time, are offensively challenged players. And they're still the greatest offense of all time. Why? Kelsey Mitchell, fucking ridiculous. Let's not get it twisted. There's going to be some people are going to start quoting me and saying, "Oh, Kelsey Mitchell this, Kelsey Mitchell that." No, the reason why their offense is the best of all time. You can have a really good offense with Kelsey Mitchell there. You can be a really good team with Kelsey Mitchell leading your team. You can be the greatest team of all time, greatest offensive team of all time with Caitlin Clark in year 2 because she was not healthy last year. Simple. All right. Am I going to leave that there? Is there any other topics you guys want me to talk about? Is there any other topics you guys want me to talk about? Yeah, I'm dying sick. Tomorrow's videos won't have face cam. I'm going to go to bed. So yeah, I'm so tired. And to be honest, I'm dying sick. This 2-hour stream is tomorrow's videos, by the way. There's a few videos for today and then most of tomorrow's